Oh, yeah. And welcome to another episode of Creatives Chat. Hi, I'm Rusty.
Hi, I'm Peter.
And Peter, I know you got a superstar lined up for us today.
It's smoking hot. We have a Seattle local, a Seattle favorite, kid sensation, aka Xola.
Is that C-Town Funk in the house?
Mr. C-Town Funk himself.
Ooh.
And I'm feeling myself.
Oh, I'm looking for a lighter. Where is it? Oh, okay. Well, I'll be in the back monitoring the show, and I'll pop up if I got any questions. In the meantime, have a great show.
Thanks, Rusty.
All right, here's Kid Sensation.
Oh, Xola, I'm so excited to have you on, man. Thanks for joining us here today.
You kidding me, man? I'm excited to be here, man. Good to see your handsome face, man.
Likewise, brother. Well, I mean, we got first really introduced on the Raise the Cakes fundraiser.
Every day a little brighter, feeling myself like I'm looking for a lighter. It feels good, it feels good, it feels good. I'm feeling myself and tell me nothing, tell me nothing, tell me nothing.
And I think the moment we really started to get into the conversation, that's when I was like, oh, we have to have Mr. Kid Sensation on Creatives Chat to really just spread some good energy, some insights, and again, just drop those truth bombs and wisdom nuggets to the people.
Oh, Peter, thank you, man. I appreciate it so much, man.
Well, let's get started off. Like, for those that don't know, Mr. C-Town Funk, you know, you rocked with Sir Mix-a-Lot, with Griffey. You were really one of those 90s staples to the Seattle music scene. So why don't you kind of enlighten our listeners on how did you get into music?
Wow, that's a funny question, man. It's, you know, everybody obviously has a different journey into music, all of us being creatives and music lovers. My first introduction to actually like kind of the creative space of music, you know, like I've raised on music. My mom used to play all the Motown music around me and all the 70s and 80s music as I was growing up, man. And
Right.
It was really just a cool experience in my life, you know, being around a lot of music. And then I began to feel that creative itch actually because Sir Mix-a-Lot and I, we lived in the same neighborhood across the street from Rainier Beach High School. We lived in the Lakeshore Village. And so there's a few people that might know the South End of Seattle and know the Village from back in the day. But it was like, man, we, you know, Sir, a lot of people don't know Sir Mix-a-Lot's name is Sir Mix-a-Lot because he used to be a DJ. And so he would go to the record stores, man, and buy like actual vinyl, man. And he picked up all the vinyl records, man. And he would get, you know, all the newest and the latest music. And then he would, if you gave him $10 and a cassette tape, a brand new cassette tape, he would take like all the songs that he's bought and whatever, and then he'd mix them on your tape and make you a fresh tape, you know? So, man, you give him $10 at a tape and he'd hook you up. And instead of you having to go down and buy all those records, you got all the cuts, all the new stuff for $10, man. So it was his hustle, man. That was how he got down, and that was how I originally began to get introduced to the music because he would also sometimes like take an instrumental and put it on there, and then he'd kind of rap a little bit or just kind of mess around over the top, or he might do some scratching. And then I started to, you know, ask him for instrumentals, you know, so I could rap over those, you know, and write my little raps, man, when I was 12 and 13 years old. And so that was how I got really like just introduced into the creative part of it. Because I grew up just loving music, you know?
Mm. Yo, that's so dope. That's so dope. That's really cool that you guys actually like came up together and evolved together as musicians and actually got to like uplift each other. That type of community music, I think, really does represent that Pacific Northwest vibe.
For sure, man. Yeah, no doubt.
In terms of that transition, though, when you made your step of really becoming that solo artist, like when did that really resonate with you? Like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. This is my move.
Yeah. So Sir Mix-a-Lot was, you know, like I said, man, I was just 12 or 13 years old when I kind of got introduced to him. And, you know, he was a young man in his, you know, early 20s or whatever, man. And he was DJing parties. And so I got to kind of like, so at first it was kind of like, oh man, can I just kind of tag along and go see what these, you know, parties are like? And so then it was like, man, dude, can I like start a song or something? You know, I was just excited to do anything I could, man, to just be around the music and be a part of whatever he was doing, So every once in a while, man, he might take a break from DJing and he might be like, all right, so this is the next song play. So you know what to do, man. Slide the fader over, put the next song, let the next song go. And every once in a while, like, chicka, chicka, boom, put the song in. And it was like, oh, man, I just thought I was the man, And people thought I was so cool because I was a little kid back there kind of DJing and doing my thing, man. And I was too young to be in most of those parties that I was at. But, it was all good, man. I just wanted to be around the music. And so I began to, write and create on instrumentals and things like that. And Sir Mix-a-Lot began to, acquire like some drum machines and some, he bought himself a little 4-track, man, that actually operated off cassette tapes. It was just dope, man. I mean, just literally the equipment, man, we were rolling with, man, it was just that primitive stuff, man, but we just thought we were on the cutting edge, doing our thing. And so that's where I began to get into the actual creative process of, he literally had an 808, a Roland 808, you feel me? And he had the Roland 909, and he had keyboards, and he had all this stuff. And so he'd be messing around, making little beats and things like that. And he'd let me every once in a while get the studio and, kind of goof off and make some stuff. So it just I just kind of like every moment that he would give me, man, I just would latch onto it and try to create something, to be around the music and be creative.
That's so sick, though. Like, how many people can say that, like, they grew up with, like, the nostalgic 90s hip-hop influences right there?
No doubt, man. It was a really, really cool and fun period of my life, man. No doubt.
Well, one of the things that I'm really excited to really dive into is kind of your take and perspective on kind of how music's evolved. And because I know you have an upcoming project, Presently Past the Future, that's going to be dropping somewhat soon. And
yeah,
I know one of the things that I'm excited about is that you really like highlighted bringing back that West Coast, that hip hop, that classic vibe. So where have you seen kind of music change? And do you see it as like a pro or a con, or maybe both?
Well, it's kind of weird. It's a mixed bag, right? I mean, like the pros of it is like that hip hop is just like this cool evolving thing, man. And there's very, very few artists, man, in my opinion, that really have been able to like transcend, over decades and decades and decades of, just, staying relevant. Usually, man, they're like this. It's like, okay, man, you've had your moment, bro, and you're like that fighter that's hanging on for a little too long, man. Yo, bro, I mean, like, let it go kind of thing. Or, and then you get every once in a while, man, you get like the LL Cool J's, right? That was hot during the 80s, during the 90s, during the 2000s. And then I think like maybe even Headsprung might have came out around, late 2008, 9, 10, somewhere in that range. So it's like, yo, man, this dude has been on since 85, and then he comes with a banger like Headsprung, man, that gets the clubs going again. You're like, man, LL, you got to give that guy credit, man. I mean, he was really able to evolve with the time, man. And Drake is another one. People don't realize that Drake has been around, man, 15, 20 years, man, and like still relevant and cutting edge and fresh and hot and doing his thing. And it's like, that's kind of what I feel like in terms of like the hip hop that I'm trying to bring. And as you hear this project, man, I hope that people will see what it is that I'm trying to do. It's like there's elements of hip hop, in my opinion, that some of the new music has kind of like dropped off and ignored, right? I mean, like scratching, man, and storytelling and breaks and beats and stuff like that. That's what I'm hitting with, man. It's like, there's so many people, there's really a growing demographic, and it's so funny. A lot of them are younger too, man. There's a lot of young hip hop heads that go back and listen to like the 90s and 2000s hip hop because they're like, yo, man, this stuff was dope. It's not like you take 5 words and some auto-tune and that's it. You got you a hit, right? It was like real, like especially when you go back before like the days of sampling and some of the earlier days of hip hop. There was real craftsmanship, right? I mean, there had to be musicianship. There had to be lyrics. There had to be writing. You had to be telling a story. You had to be kind of like saying something with some substance. People were really looking for street poetry. And so hip hop, just so that those elements of hip hop, man, like, you know, people don't even know that hip hop is made of not just raps and rhymes. The young people, that's all they kind of know is, oh, it's got a rhyme, it's got a, but they don't know about the graffiti. They don't know about the break dancing. They don't know about the DJing, the b-boying, the MCing, all these things that are the elements of hip hop. They don't have no clue, man. So it's up for us OGs to kind of be like, yo, check it out, man. There's more than what you guys are kind of like. If you guys explore deeper, if you go in a little deeper than just the surface, a little deeper than just, yo, I'm rhyming and I'm making something that everybody's bouncing to, but like, go a little bit deeper and start bringing those elements back, man. You guys will see that your music has layers and layers that you could. So anyway, getting to your question, the pros and the cons, man. The pros, I think, is that because of technology, because of the access now, because of social media, because of these things, if Peter wants to be an artist, he's not restricted because you need to get a record deal and you need thousands of dollars to get studio time and you need all this and all that and you need a $10,000 photography shoot to shoot a cover and you need all this kind of stuff, right? I mean, the point of entry now is the bar is obviously set a lot lower. The point of entry is lower. So Peter has access, and the only thing that's limiting him is his creativity and his drive and his willingness to go for it, right? Yeah. But then that's also the con, is that the bar is lower. And so like it's crowded and everybody's showing up to the party, whether it's dope or not, whether it's whatever, everybody shows up. So yes, it makes it crowded. It makes it a little bit convoluted. It makes it to where people can just release anything and it just, but I'm not I'm not the old dude standing on his porch telling the young guys, get off my lawn, right? I mean, I'm not going to hate on these dudes, man. If they take some song and they just take Fruity Loops and their home computer and a little tiny microphone and they make a song that 10 million people stream and it's all good and whatever, I'm not the old guy standing on the line going, you guys aren't including the elements of hip hop. And it's like, yo, man, give these young people room to do what they do, man. Let them create, let them whatever, and then let the public, decide. But also at the same token, it's our job to keep adding in substance, right? Because wisdom comes with age. Time and experience helps us to be able to say to the young cats, all right, yo, check it. I feel you. I see where you're going. But here, let me give you a little bit of that spice to add into that. Or here, let me show you from my perspective where we coming from. And then let's see where this all takes us. And so I think that there's no such thing necessarily as like it's all good or it's all bad or it's all whatever. I think, man, it's beautiful that music has evolved so much, that artistry has evolved so much, and that technology has allowed more people keys to the kingdom.
I love that response, man, because I think one of the funniest things for me is like, the bar is a lot lower. Yeah, it's pretty evident with that, but I feel like that's when you find those diamonds in the rough, where it's when they actually do start to incorporate the different aspects to hip hop culture. Then you start to really be like, oh, real recognizes real. And I think that's the authenticity that's kind of faded as the time's gone on, that I know a lot of the music that I listen to, it's like, it's all older music. It's really not too much modern stuff, because again, for me, I just don't feel that connection. And it's like, if I don't feel that resonate within me, or if I don't feel like they have the lyricism's not on point, that old school beat doesn't really get me moving, then I'm not a big fan of it. Because it's like, if it's just the talking at, and you're not really trying to engage with the mind, you're not really trying to talk with and create something. And I think that's one of the things you hit the nail on the head, is like that storytelling, that ability to really like take someone somewhere. And it's fascinating to me that you're able to like pass on your torch and, share your wisdom and light. Because I watched the Letters video, man, and that's one of the most dopest things I've seen, is just seeing like the sun leading off and then followed up with Dad coming in with the bars. I was stoked for that, because I was like, that's the story. It's telling something, and it's hitting people a lot harder. So like, kudos to you for like passing the torch and keeping it going yourself, man.
Thank you, man. I feel like, that's where I am in this spot. It's like I got all these creative gems. Like, you know what I'm saying? You look at like a song like Letters, man, it's like that kind of, it that story really needs to get told. And I've only
Yeah.
begun to like kind of like scratch the surface. I think the more that we can expose the world to a lot of these stories and a lot of these, you know, dope concepts, man, I just think that it's going to, well, first of all, man, it's going to scratch the itch of the demographic of people that are like you and me, that are like, man, man, this is what I want. I want stories, and I want, you know, really dope craftsmanship and musicianship and all that.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's no knock to what the new cats and the young cats are doing and everything like that, but it's with total respect to that. But on the same token, man, I think that there's, like you said, I think you're hitting the nail on the head too when you talk about authenticity, man. It's like you can feel that genuine and you can feel that real when it comes through, man. It just feels it, right? Like you can remember where you were, like the first time you heard like DMX's voice and his single or whatever. It's like them songs, they take you somewhere and you're like, yo, and I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up, you know. And these songs take you back to a period of your life. And I can go back as far as LL Cool J, I'm Bad, right? Like the first time that, or Mama Said Knock You Out. And you're hearing these songs and you're like, bananas, man. This dude is just like crushing it. And, you know, these songs like take me back to a period of my time where they literally, the smell, the taste, the feel, the sounds, the environment, like it all like comes back when you hear those songs. And I think that when the music has a depth, and like you were talking about, there's a connectedness to it, and it really literally connects you to a feeling. It connects you to something that taps in a little deeper than maybe just somebody talking about, yeah, I'm pouring and popping Chris, and I'm, you know, I got a new whip, and, you know, okay, dope. I mean, like, I'm not trying to hate on anybody, but I'm just saying there's a connection, man, that you're talking about that I think is sometimes missing a little bit in what we're getting now.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you think about it too, where you look at like the origins of hip hop and scratching and really just the incorporation of like the DJs and sampling. Like that's something that I feel has drastically changed nowadays too, with like the electronic aspect. And there's a lot of potential that you can do, but when you miss the real like weight with that beat, because that's one of the reasons why like Letter's beat slaps. Like you could just listen to that without any lyrics and it's still a banger in my opinion. But it's one of those things where I think that's the cultural aspect, where it's the house party style has changed a lot from, you know, kicking it and really showing your skills at a house party, you know, like getting a dance circle going, really busting something out, or have a little freestyle circle, to really just kind of getting just messed up.
Yeah. I think, man, we just, you know, when we lose that like authentic connection, that real, like, because like when you tell a story with your song and your music and you come out with something, man, that really draws people in, there's just a human connectedness, a relational, like a spiritual thing, man, where people can connect to the deeper parts of you than if I'm just, because like everybody can talk about a new whip and a new whatever, but it doesn't connect me to who you really are. So when I start hearing your story through your music, when I start hearing you talk about what your struggle was or whatever was going on in your life, or if you're like, even if it's a party track, man, but it's like the musicianship and the lyricship and the craftsmanship, I can tell you put like time and thought into your rhymes. And it's like, yo, man, you know, like Rakim used to do, man, that dude used to just take you somewhere with his lyrics. It's like that kind of thing, man. I think there's it just the, like I said, the craftsmanship and the time that's put into it. It's almost like I tell my son this all the time. I'm like, yo, man, you can't microwave everything, right? Like you can't microwave a turkey, right? A turkey's got to go in the oven on Thanksgiving, man. And it's got to sit in there for a good 4 hours, man. And you got to baste it with the juices. And it's got to be right, man. If you throw a turkey in the microwave, man, we got a problem, bro. We got a problem. So everything can't be microwave, man. Some stuff has to be slow baked, man. And I really feel that way about my hip hop, man. I want to hear, you know, stuff that just sounds like it was built and crafted and put together, not just some stuff, man, that you just kind of threw together in an hour because you was just sitting in there and you just, you just throwing the Fruity Loops and Hey, I mean, like I said, it's no disrespect towards what we're getting. You know, some of it I love, man, but you know, I want musicianship. I want craftsmanship. And I think that there's a growing demographic of people like you and me that are looking for that. And everyone that's hearing what it is that I'm doing with this Presently Past and Future album, it's like I'm paying respect and homage to where the music was. And I'm building something for the future that's looking towards the future, removing some of the misogyny and all this kind of other stuff from the music and the swearing and all this kind of stuff, and going, man, you know what? You could throw my album on and it can be in front of you at the barbecue and your whole family can be there. And you ain't got to be, whoa, skip that. You can just turn it on, turn up, do what you do, enjoy the music, and also feel like you're being spoken to and entertained, and it's bouncy, it's fun. I'm trying to give them, man. I'm trying to give them everything, but then I also want it to be intimate to me. So I really wanted to take the time to craft it out of my spirit, man, and be like, let me give you some real craftsmanship, bars that took time to write, connected multiple rhymes and stuff that took me time to look and research and think and man, how can I really put this together so people go, okay, man, this dude is sharp with his pen,
Right. And I think that's something that I really liked how you said it in terms of you can't microwave everything, because I feel like that also ties into the motives of why people are really trying to put their stuff out there. And I find that, when you see that switch from talking about and telling a story of, your upbringing and how it impacted you, how you see the world, how a certain experience kind of changed your perspective, to I'm just trying to get rich quick. I'm just trying to be flashy and bossy. I'm just trying to talk about how many pills I can pop. You lose that quality naturally. And I think it's beautiful that you're bringing that back, because, the world needs it, in my opinion, especially with that. I mean, I'm a big dude with this, but that spiritual front, really being able to uplift someone internally, inspire them, and really shift their perspective. We need that more than ever, in my opinion.
Man, what you're saying, and I love it how you're putting that. And that is that, man, we need more music that you feel, not just listen to.
I like that. See,
you know what I'm saying?
So many quotes could be on a shirt, bro.
Yeah, man. We've been living this thing out, so we get it, man. And you're just, gosh, bro, you're just echoing all my sentiments in terms of, I think so much alike. With you, we think so many things in common, because, yeah, man, I think that there's just a realness, man, and an authenticity that I want to feel when I turn on the music. And I'm not trying to say every song has to be all just man, I love turning on some mindless music and just bopping and doing my thing. Yeah. We all love it, man. And there's songs that get you up and get you popping and yo, man, and that's one to turn up to. But on the same token, man, I love for the album, with Feeling Myself, even though there is a little bit of a message in that track, it's bouncy, it's fun, but that song also has kind of a little bit of a message of self-love and self-esteem. It's not just about, oh, I'm feeling myself and I'm all this and you can't tell me nothing. It's about the fact that, man, the world is tearing us down in so many different ways, man. And sometimes you just have to feel yourself, because everybody else might not be feeling you, but man, look, there's only one of you. So you better feel yourself, man, because you don't get to trade it in. You don't get to start over. We get one of us, man. And so that whole self-love piece is what that's about. But there's songs on my album that are fun and bouncy and
that West Coast banger.
Did you hear the West Side?
The West Side, man.
Slaps. Kind of a tribute, man, to just all the West Coast MCs. And I'm just man, let's get that energy back when the West Coast was really, really doing their thing. And so, man, I'm excited. I'm gonna reach out to some of the artists, man, and see if maybe we can get a little remix going of it, and get some other cats on it, man. So we want to have some fun with that track, man. So there's so many cool tracks, man. I think I might have done Change the World for the Raise the Kids event that's on the CD, man. So there's times where I want to talk and I want to be real, I want to be serious and honest and talk about the state of the world or whatever like that. But man, I want the album to take you on a journey, not just to be something you turn on and turn up to, but yet not something that's going to be preachy the whole way through and I'm just talking at people, but then not, where it's just about one thing or the other. It's man, I want this to be a journey, because all of us are multifaceted, right? We all have different moods and different, things. So it's man, I want this album to really be yo, we're going together on this cool journey.
That's always to me, I feel the key indicator of like what makes like an album really, really good or a great, or it just takes it above that next level. Because when you take people on a journey, when it isn't one note, it's not one tone all the way throughout, that to me gets boring. But like that's when it's so interesting to see how kind of the mainstream has gone that way. But we've seen that exploration kind of end and fizzle out. And like what you were talking about a few times now is like, we're bringing it back. Like there's a huge demand and pull because the old school hip hop heads, we never left. And all the new age stuff, they're finding that lifestyle that those artists are promoting. And again, like you have your things, everyone has their skills, not knocking anybody, but we're finding that the lack of substance is showing through now. And I think that's one of the coolest things, that we're entering into that era of authenticity, that people are starting to mature and develop. And again, like godsend, because we need that right now. But I guess one of the things that I want to ask you is, you touched into a little bit briefly on your motives, but just as like as a father too, being able to make music that can be heard to the little ones, like how much does that mean to you, like having kids, raising kids?
Oh man, that's a huge part of what like kind of changed my message and everything else like that, right? I mean, I was raised without a father, so I didn't have like a pops telling me, yo, man, this is how you respect women. This is how you manage money, right? This is how you make decisions for your future. Oh, this is what it means to have a legacy and what your legacy should mean. This is, have you ever thought, son, about what you want to be printed on your gravestone? Have you ever thought what people are going to say about you at your funeral? Have you ever thought about who you're going to touch and what your impact is going to be long after you're gone? I didn't have a dad to ask me these kind of questions so that my mind would begin to explore and become deeper, and I'd become inquisitive and become, you know what I mean? So that you could search out all these things and start searching these answers and really doing some self-discovery, right? I mean, I was just like around the big butt guy, you know what I'm saying? And man, all I could think of was cars and women and, kicking it. And so this is the music I was kind of like raised and thought, and it's so funny. I always crack jokes with Sir Mix-a-Lot because he had this shirt that said, the difference between the men and the boys is the price of their toys, right? And we've all heard that kind of saying. And that was kind of like our attitude. It was like, you come up, you don't have no father, no guidance. And so you are growing up, and when you're growing up poor, you don't have a lot, right? Everybody's in competition to see who's going to be the man. And, I'm trying to be the top man, and I want to be the alpha dog, and all the haters are around. And I know I've succeeded when I can, and I've made mine and I've done my thing and you ain't done yours. And look at you, I'm better. That was kind of like the whole flow of hip hop, right? It was bravado. It was, who's the lyrics are the sharpest, who's the tightest, who's got the best beats, who's got the most sales, it was all this. Life was like this big competition, right? I mean, and so, when I was younger, man, and I was trying to kind of climb up the ladder, all I could think about was, what could I get from hip hop? I'm gonna go platinum. I'm gonna get money. I'm getting contracts. I'm getting out the ghetto. Man, bought my mom a crib. Oh yeah, man, my bank account is swole. Okay, yeah, look at all the stuff I'm getting out of hip hop. But then, as I began to mature and as I began to kind of grow up and understand these concepts that my father wasn't around to teach me about legacy, about what my life really meant to others around me, about what was I depositing versus withdrawing, then I really realized that the game and hip hop, when you are real about it, the game is about what can I give to the music? Ooh. What can I put into the people? How can I serve the people that listen to the music that I produce? Because I'm a servant, right? We're out to serve people. And the people who are the billionaires in the world, Bill Gates just learned how to serve more people that have computers than anyone else in the world. And that's why Microsoft got to where he got. He served more people, right? His heart was in adding value to people, whether it be through computers or software, all the kind of things that they did. That's where he served more people than anybody else was serving at that time for what he was doing. And so that's what my attitude has changed to now, is not about what can I get out of hip hop, but what can I put in and who can I serve?
Oh, yo, flex on him. I love that, because for me, service is the truest way to speak to the human spirit. Like,
Yeah.
and it was really cool because Rusty and I were listening to your TEDx talk actually, and when you said the line about, we're each a piece of the puzzle, and when you can help serve someone, you put that puzzle piece together. And for me, because I always talk about that, like, in terms of healing in my work, I do a lot of like spirit wellness and fitness development, but a lot of spiritual healing. And it's a mutual process, because whenever you're helping someone, they're helping you. And again, because we're each a piece of the puzzle, so it's that exchange of information and perspective. So when you said that, that resonated so hard, because that's how we really are. And when we dedicate our lives to not only uplifting ourselves, we radiate and shine to uplift others. And that's when things really start to take like a drastic shift. So for yourself in that journey, what was the real defining moment that you're like, this isn't it? And you kind of came back to home, you came back to source, came back to that understanding of spirit.
Wow. Yeah.
Loaded question.
That's a dope question. Such a dope question. So, I don't know if you remember the group JJ Fad, the girl group who made the song Supersonic.
Yeah.
Supersonic. You remember those girls and all that kind of thing?
Hell yeah.
The little club party song. Well, DJ Train was their DJ, and he also did a lot of DJing for NWA and Dr. Dre, and he worked in the studio with those guys frequently, and he and I connected when we were on a leg of that Straight Outta Compton tour, It's so funny, man. I tell you that story, it's like when you see the Straight Outta Compton movie and you saw all that stuff that happened in Detroit when they did the Police song and they got arrested and all that kind of stuff, we were on that show. And so we witnessed all that craziness and all the stuff. We've watched Too Short get arrested. We've watched 2 Live Crew get arrested. We've watched NWA get arrested. We've seen when all this stuff was going down and whatever the case is. But man, so I met DJ Train on that tour because JJ Fad was on it on legs of the Straight Outta Compton tour, the DOC, Above the Law, all these different groups that were Dr. Dre's proteges were on that that were productions, and on Ruthless Records were on those tours, and Eazy-E, all those guys, they were all on the tour. And so DJ Train and I got really, really close, man. He DJ'd on a lot of my second album and did a lot of the scratching and co-production on some of the songs. And so, man, he lived in Compton, and Southside Compton, man. I mean, just in the hoodest part of Southside. Compton, man, it was a crazy, crazy neighborhood and everything like that. So he died in a fire, man. I mean, crazy situation. I'm like talking to his brother on the phone. He calls me up. Hey, man, I need to talk to you, man. And, I get on the phone. Hey, what's up, man? And he's like, man, Train passed away in a fire. And I thought, man, don't play with me, man. We play a lot. Don't play. That's not something you play about. And so I really find out that my guy, man, a close friend of mine, he passed away, and I'm just like, what? And so, man, and this dude, I mean, Train, like I said, he's that important, man. I mean, this dude is somebody, very significant in that family. And so, man, at his funeral, Easy, Ice Cube, Dre, all those guys, Ken Griffey Jr. went down to his funeral. I mean, everybody was down there. This dude had a massive influence on a lot of people. And so we're all down there, man, and we're just, mourning his passing and everything like that. And that's when it hit me. It was like, man, what the whole thing of what would people say at your funeral, because there were so many people speaking so many kind words about him and saying those things. And I just got to think, I said, man, if anything happened to me, what would people be saying at my funeral, And I was like, well, that he had a nice car, or that he put out some music, or that, what would people really say about me as a man? And I thought about my son. I thought about, I had a really young son at the time. So I'm like, I'm thinking about all these things, man. And I'm like, yo, something's amiss here, and something needs to change. And how you have those, like you said, like you asked the question, defining moments. That was a defining moment in my life where, man, I was like, man, I'm here, man, with with family and friends and so many, really just, incredible people that are here to pay their respects to someone. And he's now, and he passed, by the way, going back into the house that was burning, and his sister was still in the house, and he went in to go save his sister, and then he ended up dying in the fire. And so
Wow.
you know, and so it was one of those things, man, where I was like, there's got to be more than what we're kind of like aspiring for, man. There's got to be more than to the aim than this, man. There's got to be more than, because, you know, all right, if I bought a Benz and Mix-a-Lot bought a Ferrari, and, you know, and so whoever bought a Lamborghini, okay, but we're striving for one thing, and we're striving for the next thing. We're striving for the next thing, but yet none of these dudes seem like they've got it figured out either. They just got bigger and more expensive toys, or they just got higher positions on the charts, or they've got, you know, this or that and the other. And I'm, you know, watching Ice Cube, you know, put out Friday, and, you know, yeah, things are happening, but then his marriage was struggling. And, you know, so it's like, man, what is it that there's got to be something deeper than our pursuit of all these things that we think are the end all means, you know? And so it changes, man, when you discover that there's layers that you have to scratch, and what you think you've been chasing that was supposed to be the goal, you start finding out that there's more layers, man.
Oh my gosh. Yo, that's incredibly powerful. And it's that external search, once that stops to really end and you start to dive in and really question, what is this? What am I seeing? Is this how I really want to be? That's some of the most powerful and transformative experiences that anyone can have. And again, like, you got to give kudos to your own strength, because those that deal with loss, that's easily as an opportunity to go into a dark spiral and get even worse, you know?
Facts. Yeah. I was losing, you know, to gang violence and stuff like that. I was definitely losing. There was a lot of loss in terms of just people that I grew up with. Every week it seemed like, man, somebody else that we grew up with or that we knew from around the way or whatever like that was a victim of gang violence, or, you know, getting locked up and doing 30, 40, and 50 years, and people, you know, just all kind of crazy stuff. And we're losing them two at a time, because, of course, when one shoots someone, then they catch that dude, and now he's going up for, you know, for life. And so it's just like, man, it just was a very difficult period, but that one hit me so close, because, you know, we were so closely working together on so much. We traveled to Hawaii together. We DJing, you know, together. We're just doing, you know, he's DJing for me. We're just doing all these different things. And we were so close. Like, we just, you know, it was just a situation, man, where it made you, you know, kind of, you know how it is. You have those moments that you hit in your life, those milestones where you reflect on the meaning of everything, man. And you start, you know, it's the birth of a child, or it's, you know, a life, you know, a near death experience, or it's the death of someone close, or it's, you know, it's these moments, these defining moments, man, that all of a sudden begin to make you reevaluate things.
Ooh, and it's that subtle pivot too, because I think that's one of the most interesting things about any type of trauma or pain or loss or just new experience, is that it provides that opportunity to kind of take your own life and experience to the next level. And when you let go of those delusions, those, I guess you'd almost say, like, lacking, those things that lacked in substance, they didn't really bring any weight, you know, that's when your life really starts to take that deeper truth and that deeper search. And I really find nothing greater than that, than, you know, really developing spiritually. So like, I'm curious, when did you really start to kind of dive into the spiritual waters, and how that kind of changed the perspective on things?
Yeah. Man, you know, once I started facing those type of, you know, that whole thing of where you have to face yourself, right? And you have to realize that, like, all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, I bought a new whip, or, oh, okay, I bought a new chain, or, oh, okay, I got this, you know, I had this area of success, or whatever it is. And you start finding that those things, you just chasing vapor, right? They just, you grab them and you think you got them, and then they just dissolve it out of your hand. You realize it's empty. Your hand is just totally empty. And so it was like, I really began to say, man, there's got to be some more meaning to this. There's got to be more. And I really honestly believe this, man, that as you begin to search for answers, man, I just feel that God puts the answers and puts them, and the universe will literally, God will channel the information, the people, the connection. You just start running into the right people. You run into the right situation. You go, man, it's kind of funny. Or you go, man, something told me to, or, oh, I don't know why but the bottom line is that, man, that was all by divine plan, because you put it out there that you were seeking and searching and your heart was pure. And you were just like, yo, it's a prayer. It's a prayer, but it's so funny. We don't even know that we're praying sometimes for what we receive. It's like when you put it out there and you're searching and your whole being, every vibrating atom in you is like seeking something deeper. You attract. It's that law of attraction, right? You attract the kind of things to you that you are asking for, that you're seeking. And, even the Bible says, seek and knock and, you'll find answers. And so the bottom line is that we begin this journey, and when we begin to seek our true selves and begin to seek something deeper, the universe answers, man. And God has a way of just orchestrating that stuff where, you're like, whoa, I mean, you find yourself completely in a different place once you're willing to take that journey.
Facts, listeners, facts. There's nothing more truth than that, because it's the exact same thing of, it's the truth shall set you free. And when you really seek it out, it starts to liberate you and it starts to transform you. And it's like exactly what you said. You just start to gravitate towards the people that are just meant to be in your life. And one of the things I always try to say to my students is like, life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you need to wake up to the truth of it. And that's one of those lines for me, because imagine if, everything that you really wanted came true. I see us each as gods and goddesses of creation as the Most High. That's the gifts that we were given. But when we use that, and I guess you could say when we abuse that power, chaos starts to happen. And it's only when we really want to seek those answers out that life's like, okay, they're ready. God comes and just gives us those alley-oops. It's like, let's see if they'll bang it out.
Yeah, come on. No, that's so dope, bro. That's so dope. It makes me think of this. Are you a father, fam? Are you a father?
No, not yet. But
Okay.
I have like 10 years in education and stuff because I wanted to be a father. So I've like consciously done the work into it. But yeah, continue. Sorry.
But either way, I mean, when you become a father, or as me as a father, I understand that when my son was 3, it was not the time to put a steak knife into his hand. It was not the time to put car keys into his hand. It was not the time to put a smartphone into his hands when he was 3 or when he's 5 or when he's 7, because we understand that even though he wants them, right? I mean, our kids are like, yo, but give me this. When you were 3, you probably wanted all the stuff that you're not necessarily supposed to have, but that you're not ready for. Your parents hopefully never handed you a beer when you were 3, right? I mean, so the bottom line is that I think that, like you said, bro, if we were given everything we wanted when we wanted it, man, we'd be such brats, and we would not even be ready for what we think we want. We think we want stuff, right? But it's deeper than that. Cause like, I was listening to somebody speak. I can't even remember who it was. And he was like, man, it's like somebody was like, man, it's so cool what you have. And I wish I could be doing what you're doing. He said, if I ever threw the keys of my life to you, I'd warn you to duck and let them fly right by. He said, because you don't want this. And what he was explaining, he said, what you want is what you see. You want the glitz, the glamour, me on the stage, these fancy suits, maybe the car I drive or that I fly private planes. He said, but what you don't want is the 17 to 18-hour work days that I put in when there was no pay for it. And I had to do it while everybody else was good timing and families and this and that and the other. And I was sacrificing, giving up, getting nothing for it, and all I had was a vision and a passion and a dream. He said, he said, you don't want that. So there's people who say they really want what I've got. He said, but they only want the byproduct of what was created by what I've worked for, not the work and what it takes that you put in. And so that was deep to me. I was like, man, a lot of times we're sitting here and we think that we're ready for, man, this needs to happen, man. I'm just kind of ready for it. But we don't realize what's on the other side of that door, man. And God is sitting there looking at us saying, yeah, if you were ready, A, B, C, D, and E would have been lined up, and it would have been your time, and you would have stepped into it. But the reason that you haven't stepped into that promise is because you haven't done the preparation.
right? Because that's I love that. I'm gonna start using that. I'll give you credit, but I'm gonna start using that,
That's dope, bro.
giving the child the knife, because
Right.
it's those subtle moments in life that we all see, we all experience. I remember my niece when she was little trying to grab all the like the big forks and the big cutlery, and it's the same thing. Like, no, 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 sweetie, can't have that. And it's
Right.
that same concept that we're only ready when we're ready, and like the fruit only drops when it's ripe. Like, you can't
Right.
pluck it early. You can't have that bite of the sour apple. You're gonna break a tooth. Like,
Good,
so
Peter.
it's so dope just to see, because I think that's this transition that I always, it's real, recognized as real. It's the utmost respect, because you're able to not only turn that into your creative art, but you're able to pass on those true torches of wisdom and like carry on that legacy that's going to impact so many more people than just like your nuclear family. It's going to impact the listeners. And that's the stuff too, where what do you feel right now is the most important questions for people to ask themselves right now, with like coronavirus and all this crazy stuff going on, with like the bipartisan polarity and like this pre-civil, like I consider it's almost in the middle of a civil war, with how combative people are? Like, what are the real questions that you would really challenge listeners to ask themselves right now?
One simple question, man. How can I love better?
Yo,
how can I love better, man? We need to love each other better, bro. That's what it boils down to. I mean, yes, man, if you and I, if you're Hindu and I'm Buddhist, and but how can we love each other better? See, when I really love you, I take you for who you are. I accept you for who you are. I love you for who you are. I love our differences. I celebrate our differences. I'm glad you're not, bald and right and looking just same skin tone as me, because the world would be a boring place, man, if we were all alike. I'm glad that Rusty looks nothing like me, man, and that Rusty's pasty and chocolate in the hand. No, I'm just kidding, man. Love you, Rusty, man. So, man, we need the love. We need the diversity. How can I love someone better, man? How can we love each other better? Like, when we can celebrate differences, and we can love differences, and we can be inquisitive and curious about differences, and I can dive deep into what makes you tick, and I'm like, yo, that's real love, man. Like, when I want to hear more from Peter, not when I just want to just bombard Peter with my opinion and my thoughts and my this and my that. We can get so selfish sometimes and only want to, put out one way. We want to be heard. Everybody wants to express themselves or be heard, and I need my voice to be heard, but have you ever taken the time to say, man, how can I love better? And have you asked people that question, right? Like, people, okay, let's just take a really controversial issue, right? Okay, kneeling for the flag in athletes, right? I mean, that gets people over here and over here.
Yeah, triggering.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Have the people who are upset about it stopped and asked the question, man, how can I love you better? How can I show you that I care about what's going on with you? Let's push the side of the flag, and let's push everything aside the flag. Obviously, something's bugging you, right? I'm married. Yeah. I can't ignore that my wife is upset and just be like, well, nope, because at 6 o'clock, dinner needs to be on the table, and none of that matters because this is what the rule is, right? Instead of getting into what the rule is you're supposed to stand for the flag, or the rule is this. Stop and slow down and say, wait a minute. If he's not following the rules and there's something going on, let's slow down and let's find out what's really going on. And that's how you love better. Is you don't say, I love better by forcing you into compliance, forcing you into my way of thinking, forcing you into it. My thought is slow down and say, man, Peter, man, what's up, man? What's going on, bro? I mean, how can I love you better, man? Because I can see, man, that you're going through something. I can see that you're hurting right now, man. How can I love you better, bro? And I think that if we could ask ourselves that one question, man, and begin to love one another better. This isn't about trying to figure out the rules. This isn't about trying to get people to comply to more rules. This isn't about setting up more structure and more this. This is a simple situation where we have not learned how to love one another and celebrate one another's differences, man.
Preach! Well, I think that we miss that when we get caught up in tribes. when we get caught up in, oh, I'm this and this, I'm this identification, oh, I'm that identification, because then it becomes warring. Because then you're an opposite, you're not me. But that's the beauty of, like, we're each unique beings. We each have a divine expression that only we have. This has been a time for people to look within. And I think you said it earlier, where it's like for people to really do some of that soul searching and like self-discovery. But I think that's one of the reasons why also, like, the, actually people seeing like police brutality firsthand, seeing these horrendous and ridiculous acts actually happen before their eyes. Like, they have the time to actually see it. And people have the break with a lot of things shutting down to actually experience and research and process things. And it's just like prayer, it's just meditation, it's people have a chance to digest their experience, and there's nothing more important than that type of looking. And I'm just like, I feel the same way, because I was like, I know that, like, just even hearing all your music, I was just like, oh, he's got the message, got the old school hip hop, like going from the throwing dice in the corner, sipping and smoking, to like really a beacon of light for people that can hear it. Because being able to talk about God openly, being able to really speak about spirituality and like your own journey, that's the type of stuff that we need now, because that's the truth. It's really the biggest truth.
Facts, man. Come on, man. This is beautiful, bro. Dude, man. I enjoy you, man.
Can I hop in now?
Yeah, Rusty, what's up, bro?
Rusty!
Hello.
I was just joking about you being pasty, Rusty, man. You my bro.
No, I agree with you. I'm extremely pasty.
You just a lighter shade of brown, my brother.
Well, the interesting thing is I grew up on Guam, and I lived there for 30 years. And when I left Guam in 98, I was probably as dark as Peter. And it took me a year to lose my tan line. I was dark. I was,
crazy.
And so, but yeah, I'm an indoor guy now.
You're a Northwestern white male.
But what I love about this conversation is how we started off, I would have to say, kind of on our two legs. So one leg being, how will I be remembered? And how can I be more loving? And on that, we've traveled this path. And it's been a really remarkable journey. I feel so much closer to you as well. I mean, I have a feeling our viewers are going to feel the kinship that you two are feeling, because I feel it. I feel that connection. And so a couple of notes that I have that I wanted to talk about. First, I'm going to make a couple statements. I'm going to read a couple things. One is a really cool quote that I got today. And it goes like this. I began to realize a commitment to a cause, a group of people, a person of faith. Those are the things that define me. The shift from selfish to selfless thinking grows us as people. That's your quote.
I was like, man, this sounds so familiar, but I love that.
And so if
a wise sage, I love it.
Yes. So on your website, you have a TEDx talk, and that's where I got that from. And I was so impressed by the message that, I mean, this is a journey that I can tell that it's taken you a while to navigate the stream, but I mean, you're definitely been on this journey for a while. And I am just blown away by all the information, all the nuggets of truth that have, I mean, they are Easter eggs all over this show. That little pockets that are just full of delicious, soul nourishing information.
Nice.
So the next thing I'm going to read is something that I found that I've written in the past that applies to today. I write a lot of things, not knowing what purpose they're being written for, but it always is revealed later. And so, yeah, these are one of those things where I went, oh my gosh, like this is a perfect time. And so this is what I titled, Who Are We and What is Our Role? We are living thought generators, conscious elements of energy with a nervous system, attached to sensory devices that detect changes in our environment with a data processor that has the capacity to store an infinite amount of energy and memory in an ethereal cloud that we can draw energy from into a physical world in the form of information to project more emotion that stems from a collective thought from a universal mind that is based in love.
Oh, wait.
Right? Yo.
Yeah.
He went straight metaphysical on him, man. Mic drop. Mic drop.
So,
that's amazing, Russ.
I'd like to take credit for that because I did write it. But I know that a lot of the thoughts that came to me as I wrote, we are thought generators. And sometimes I wonder where my thoughts come from because that was not a thought I had thunk before I had wrote that. This is information that I received because I was open to accepting it. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's kind of where we're at right now in our conversation is that you've come to experience life on life's terms and you inject your energy into it. And as you were talking about being a parent, about the difference, and I would say the distinction between using force and using power. Mm-hmm. You can be a powerful force or you can be a forceful power.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Yes. And that's where I was like going, wow, you are like, this is a distinction that I've learned recently from my own coach, from my own mentor. That this is a conversation I had from Saturday on my own coaching call. I have a coach, and this is where I don't believe I'm too old to learn anything. You know, I mean, I'm not too old. I'm not above learning new things. Let me just put it that way.
Brother.
I'm always open to what's the lesson, and so because life just shows up as a series of lessons. And if you don't catch it the first time, don't worry, it'll be back around.
It'll be back.
Yeah.
Right. Anything that ain't growing is dying, man.
Yes.
Ooh.
And so, yeah, growing or dying. And then there really is no middle ground in that one.
Well, I think that's something fascinating is that, you know, like the way you said it, like I'm not above learning new things. Just as a society, like let's just think about how I know quite a few people in my own like sphere of beings, you could say, and people that I've had conversations with in like academic fields in the scientific community, that it's like they think that once they got that degree and they're at that title, they got that position, they act like they've made it, they think that they've made it, and they really just cut themselves off from anything new. And they use their kind of like that delusional state of their achieved knowledge as some point of like superiority and authority to not even address or listen to something or someone else. And I think that's one of the biggest things too, where they create such an exclusive community and it creates such an exclusive world of superiority that they become that, I like the way you said that, they become that forceful power. And they just assert themselves on others and beings and like, yo, like that just like resonated so deeply.
That's dope, Rusty. Yeah, that's good, man.
And I'd like to add on to what Peter just said is that when you achieve that academia, basically all you know is what everybody else knows. In that
fact,
you don't know anything new.
You haven't discovered anything. You just have learned and acquired what is already. But, you know, that creative process takes you into discovery. And that goes back to that whole thing we were talking about, you know, Peter, like even with the fingerprints and all that, right? I mean, it's like we're all unique beings with a unique fingerprint. And when Rusty, like there's no one that could have put those words together the way that he did when he gave his piece of what he said, because it was uniquely from him. So it had his fingerprint, his stamp, and I'm still trying to rewind it and like put it all together so I can like take it and steal it, man, because I love it, Rusty. That was amazing, bro.
Cool. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, yeah, man, I would like to say this, and this is not even necessarily about plugging my social media, but it's just more about connecting, man. And I'm at Xola Music, so that's XOLA Music. And I'm also at Kid Sensation, you know, on IG and Facebook, and I think I have a Twitter on Xola Music. But it's like, man, I would just love for people to connect with me that just people that are listening and checking this out, and definitely check out my music or whatever. That's fine, but I love the connectedness of what this really represents, man. And I'd like to see what other people's journeys are. I love coasting through people's Instagrams and their stories and watching their posts and seeing people that, genuinely have that heart to add value, because man, I like checking stuff out because it adds value to me. Like every photo, you ever think this through for a minute, that every photo represents a unique moment in time. Rusty just alluded to this a minute ago. That'll never be duplicated again. It's like, if we could take a photo right now, you could try to pose the same or whatever, but it will never be the exact same as that photo that you took before, because it represents a unique moment in time that can never be duplicated. And so I love, man, hearing and reading people's stories and seeing their creativity, because we all are creatives. I mean, everybody has something creative and individual about them, and they bring a fresh perspective, man. So that is why I want to connect with everybody on social media. And, I'll follow back. I just want to see what you're up to, and hopefully you'll connect with me and see what I'm up to, man. And let's keep taking this journey together.
Yeah.
Wow, that is certainly sensational, kid.
Word, Rusty. I see you, man.
That's impressive. I get that, right? In the social media world, it's all about how many followers I got, how many likes I got, how many views we got. That doesn't necessarily determine the quality of the content.
Facts.
And so and I also get that a lot of people don't even know who's really even following them. They're just looking at the numbers, just another number. And so the fact that you're taking the time out to do that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Volumes. Like, this is not, so take them up on it, viewers. Click and like.
I love the connectedness, man. I really do. So that's dope. That's dope.
So I'm going to close on this. I got two closings. Left or right? Somebody answer.
Let the guest go left? Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Okay, left it is. All right. When a human being does the best they can with what they've got in this moment, there is no need to look back with regret in the next.
Ooh, nice.
Keep moving forward, creating a space for a new experience, and although things may not appear better, your experience of it improves. Thank you for viewing, and check us out next week. Have a happy always.
Peace.
That concludes this episode of Creatives Chat. Thank you for watching. Join us every Thursday at 3:33 p.m. Pacific Daily Time as creative minds get together and chat about who knows what. View more episodes on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again to our sponsors for making this show possible.